We've really got a lineup this year and a group of stars that's going to take it to the next level.
I'm Terry Quillian, and I'll be in the starting lineup every Saturday morning with my hot take of the week.
I'm the legend from the Paul Feinbaum Show, and I'm in the starting lineup.
I guess I'm Keefer, and I'm part of the starting lineup. Make sure to check out my college picks each week on all of our starting lineup programs.
So make sure each week you're in the starting lineup. The starting lineup, 10:30 to 11 on ABC 3340 every Saturday morning.
Good morning. Welcome back to the starting lineup. Along with Kip Keefer, I'm Tony Curry. Our cast of idiots coming up in the next 30 minutes right here on ABC 3340. We got a lot to get into. Of course, we got.
Hey, wait! I resemble that remark.
You do. You're my number one idiot.
Thank you.
Two. I'll be your sidekick idiot. Lots of college hoops to get into, and of course, Super Bowl 59 is set up. We've got, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs going back for the fifth time in the last 6 years. The Philadelphia Eagles going back for the first time since they won their first Super Bowl back in 2017. These teams have played each other 11 times. It's 6-5 right now, so Philadelphia can actually even that up. But Super Bowl 59 coming up, and yeah, I'm excited, man.
Rematch of 2 years ago.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That game, I believe, went to overtime.
It's a great game.
And the Chiefs ended up winning. This will be the first time, Tony, a lot of folks don't realize it because we're used to some other sports, but no one has ever won a Super Bowl 3 consecutive years. The Chiefs are trying to do what has never been accomplished.
The last time a major sports team did that, I believe, was the Lakers back in 2000 to 2002.
2000s.
And of course, if you want to go back to even the first season of the WNBA, we had that team, of course, winning 4 times. They won the first 4 championships. So it's it's a rare air. I know a lot of people are going to be playing against the lines 1.5 and 48.5, depending on who your numbers.
Are you surprised by that line? Or?
I'm not. I do think it's going to be a great game. I think top to bottom, Philadelphia lineup-wise is better than Kansas City. But again, does anyone want to go against Patrick Mahomes? But I will say this, Saquon Barkley has brought back the running back. He has just been an unbelievable. I had the over 127.5, Saquon.
He ripped off 60 his first
127.5, my friend, in the first play from scrimmage, 60-something yards. I'm like, okay, Mom and Daddy's going to be eating nice tonight. And next thing you know, he goes for $118. So no, not really surprised. I'm just glad we don't have a 7 or 8 point ball game. I'm glad it's going to be super close, and there's no reason to think this one won't go to OT too.
Well, after the college football playoffs, where almost every line was double digits, seemingly, this is kind of refreshing that you've got a really good matchup. The Eagles are playing great. Both of these teams known for their offenses and their superstars, but both these teams' defenses, Tony, have been pretty solid, especially the Chiefs. A lot of people don't think of the Chiefs as a defensive team, but they wouldn't be here this year if their defense hadn't been locked down.
Yeah, of course, that team leading the league in record fashion as far as in one possession wins this season. The Eagles have always been a pretty good defensive team, at least the last 4 or 5 years since they played in the Super Bowl back in 2017. But I will say this, I mean, while you have 2 great quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, and of course a lot of people were trying to make a muster whether he was going to actually be back because of after his concussion. He's looked fantastic. He looks like he's 100%. And of course you got Patrick Mahomes. No matter what he does, he's always fantastic, always fun to watch. This game's got it all, man. You got 2 great quarterbacks who have been there, done that. Of course, the last time Philadelphia won a Super Bowl, it was with Nick Foles. Yep. So maybe this is Nick Foles, the Super Bowl winner. Dan Marino can't win the big game, but Nick Foles can.
Yeah, the legendary Nick Foles. That's right.
So he's got the big ring to prove it. So, you know, and of course, we all love Jalen Hurts around here. Talk about a wonderful life that he has led. I mean, here's a guy who's, of course, representing Alabama. They're in the national championship game. He's not having his best game. He gets benched. Tua Tagovailoa goes, and then we know what happened there. He gets benched. Of course, he leaves. He goes to Oklahoma, and all of a sudden, no one's talking about Jalen Hurts anymore. And here he is, playing for his first Super Bowl in Super Bowl 59. But what a great life just to go to show that just, you know, kids out there, you get benched during the biggest game of your life, doesn't mean the world's over. There are bigger plans down the road, and Jalen Hurts has made that true. Well,
and don't forget, Jalen Hurts also, even though Tua had taken his place, Tua was hurt and ineffective against Georgia in the SEC, easy for me to say, championship game that year, and Jalen came in the fourth quarter and bailed them out. So that should be the lasting memory of Alabama fans, not that you can't resent him going to Oklahoma that last year. And I've run into some Alabama fans that say, well, he was a traitor. Well, they don't want to stand there on the sidelines. Look at him now. This is the guy that should be playing. And take nothing away from Tua. He's phenomenal. But that was an embarrassment of riches, and I think he did the right thing.
And Tua, Tua and his father talking about, okay, should we stay here for another year? If Jalen Hurts can be the quarterback, what did he do? He stuck it out. So listen, you pick this school. We're going to play here. We're going to stay here.
Yep.
And next thing you know, it turned out pretty well for him.
It was great.
So it's going to be great.
Tony, I read this week something that shouldn't shock me, but we're talking about and relishing in Ohio State winning the national championship. And since we've followed college football all year, I was going to get your take on this because I haven't mentioned it to you. But it turns out in some kind of university report, the athletic department of Ohio State has like a $24 million deficit.
Yes.
They lost big money despite winning a national championship. And that's even outside this collective thing, which is not part of the budget. But Ross Bjork is the athletic director. He was at Texas A&M before this stop. This is the guy who gave Jimbo Fisher a big extension on a ridiculous contract to start with that was guaranteed.
Yeah.
And Jimbo Fisher got $70-something million to be fired. This is the genius who engineered that deal. Now he shows up at Ohio State, wins a national championship, but is it not an amazing profession being a coach or an athletic director that you can just completely screw up and just become
Yeah, because in most businesses, when you're not making money, you lock your doors.
Exactly.
You close for business. Now, if you're something like Uber, they lost $8 billion last year. And Uber, I can call Uber right now and get a ride. You're like, how does a business survive like that? There are so many investors, there's so much money behind that. And that's what you got at Ohio State. They just mentioned, I think it's the Sporting News, the fact that they are the richest college sports team right now. I think they're worth like $1.34 billion. Ohio State is. But, and I've talked to, of course, Mark Ingram, our good friend at UAB, there's only about 6 or 7 college athletic institutions in all of college sports that are actually making money. Their income may be billions of dollars and millions of dollars, but their bottom line, their net is not. And again, it costs big bucks. And you look at someone like Notre Dame, too, who did it right. They didn't have to share their money. They got their $20 million put in their back pocket, and they go home as an independent. Ohio State's got to share that money. But I think with this NCAA versus House thing going on a little bit later on,
which we'll know in April.
We'll know in April for sure. You're going to start seeing some caps on that money, and of course, you're going to have a lot of the smaller
limits
teams.
and some other budget cuts. We got big games this weekend, Tony. Marquee matchups.
Unbelievable.
Alabama Crimson Tide rolling right along. They will host Georgia in Tuscaloosa today. Also, Auburn is playing Ole Miss. The Rebels, surprisingly, a pretty solid unit. So that's where our two state teams rank number one. And I know Alabama's got a high number at the moment, too. So both of them are on their way to big things in the NCAA. The other big games of the weekend, remember 3 weeks ago, Tennessee, number one, went to Florida and lost 75-45.
Yeah.
Probably the worst butt whooping any number one team's taken in years.
Got away from
They get revenge on Saturday. They host the Gators in Knoxville. I can't wait to see that game because that might be really a barn burner. And of course, not in the SEC, but anytime the Carolina Blue, North Carolina Tar Heels play the Duke Blue Devils, that is always a marquee
It is
matchup.
always a great game. It's always a great game. Every time and it's one of those games, it's like Yankees.
Schools are 11 miles apart.
It's like Yankees Bo Sox. I've got to watch this series. Every time those two teams play each other, I got to watch this game. Yeah, we were talking before the show whether that line would be 7, 12, or 10 or whatever. We know Duke's a lot better than North Carolina, but something tells me that North Carolina will have it together and will be juiced by the time March Madness comes around.
Remember, a couple of years ago, Mike Krzyzewski's last 2 losses, one of them in the Final Four was to North Carolina.
Yes,
so that was a bad way to go out for one of the great coaches of all time. So this rivalry really means something.
And this may be one of the greatest, not just because the SEC is so strong in Auburn, Alabama. It's so fun now to have the football season over with and continue to be able to watch one of your favorite institutions do really well on the hardwood as opposed to the soft grass. I love the fact they're both doing well. But this year, to me, in college hoops seems like it could be just one of the greatest, best years. It is wide open. It's going to be a great season for March Madness, so we're looking forward to it.
And for us in SEC country, so many teams right now would be in the tournament from the league. It's going to be amazing to see.
Don't forget, next Saturday will be our final Saturday before Super Bowl 59. We're going to have prop bets. We're going to have the bets. We're going to have the best bets. We're going to have the hot bets. We're going to have Case out in the desert. We're going to have it all because this is the starting lineup.
Step back into the groove and then into the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Check this out.
is all happening here. The Birmingham Racecourse Casino is the local place to win.
Good times right here.
Let the Birmingham Racecourse Casino bring the good times to you. The Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where the good times roll.
Where you could be a winner too. Yeah, boy.
Hey, welcome to the Legend Cave, where few men have ever stood, but one of the greatest men that have stood is the great Kip Keefer. Back again in the Legend Cave. We're about to call this the Kip in the Legend Cave.
Yeah.
He moved in on me like family, because he is family. Welcome, brother. Welcome, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you letting me redecorate a little too.
Nah, it don't matter, man. You are family. Man, we are at the end of the football season, and we are so thankful. We are so thankful because Alabama, we stunk it up this year. We couldn't even make a 12-team playoff, but we ain't giving up. DeBoer, I almost called him Cabor. Kaboom! I mean, DeBoer. I mean, we're going to give you another chance, dude. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You got one more chance. I told my aunt I was going to forgive you. I was going to put it behind me. I was going to move on and give you another opportunity. Don't you think that's the best thing?
I think that is a magnanimous gesture of great magnitude, because I know if I would have said to you, and I did say to you before the season, what's your goal for the year? You only wanted to make the dance. Well, you didn't get the dance. Your slippers are still waiting to be taken out of the box. So this is a beautiful gesture on your part.
Yeah, I only wanted to go to the bed, Coach DeBoer. I only wanted to go. You didn't let me go, but I've forgiven you. Let's move on to next year. It's Ty Simpson's ball now. What do you see in Ty Simpson? What have you seen in him? And can he lead Alabama to the dance next year?
You know, I liked when we saw him in that game a couple of years ago down at South Florida, when he came in and kind of stabilized the situation. I thought he did some good things. I still, the jury's out though, Ledge. We don't have enough information here yet. And I still think this kid from Texas may be a special talent. Keelan Russell coming in. I'm not so sure that old Ty is going to be winning the job. I mean, I know he's the next man up, but I think this Russell kid may be a phenom.
You know, I'm also hearing Austin Mack is a ball player, 6'6", 240, cannon arm, was the quarterback that DeBoer chose when he forgot the All-American Julian Sayin. I'm just saying, how you forget a guy's name named Sayin? Forgot his name and he walked away. So maybe let's move on. Let's move. I hear Bear telling me to move on, and I've forgiven you. You get another chance.
I think he wants you to hoop it up.
Yeah, let's hoop it up. You're right, Bear. Let's talk about this Alabama basketball team. Some of our folks say, you know, Mark Sears is lazy. He got benched this past week. He put in a good performance against Mississippi State. This Alabama team continues to win, but now the question is there issues that will prevent winning a national title, Kip?
They need Mark Sears at his best all the time. And maybe because he's been here, done that, there's times where he takes a little mental break. But Sears has to get his intensity. And I think as the season gets deeper and we get closer to tournament time, I think you'll see Mark Sears on all cylinders. You know, there was some talk this year that the Ohio State coaches backed off their team a little so they'd be fresher for the end. Maybe Mark Sears is doing that to his own self and just kind of pacing himself so he'll be 100%. With a completely effective Mark Sears, this team can win it all.
Yeah, I think so too. I want to say this to Mark Sears. Somebody get him this tape. If you want to be an NBA player, if you want to be Bronson, the guard from New York that everybody compares you to, that you talk about being, you need to give 100% effort at all time and stop being lazy. And Alabama will win a national title. Aiden Holloway! Thank you, Auburn. Thank you, Auburn. What a gift. What a gift. I think this is the star. Holiday has turned into a star down there.
I like that they're 8 or 9 deep.
10 deep.
I just like that in a basketball team. I think this team can be as good as they want to be. And I think Nate Oates is maybe just kind of playing it along. Let's get through the season. They're already in the tournament.
No doubt.
You're going to be dancing this time.
I'm dancing. Thank you, Nate Oates. Thank you, Nate Oates.
So now let's get a high C. seed. Let's get a couple easy games in the first couple rounds, and let's go back to a Final Four. I was there last year in Phoenix. I saw the Tide in action. They pushed UConn to the limit, and I thought they really did a great job. So I think that these guys are expecting to go to the big dance.
Well, the one thing about this Alabama basketball team, they will run you in the ground.
Yep.
They take off, they're going, they're 10 deep. And hey, we love you, Alabama basketball. We see you down. We see you. Let's do it. Let's bring the first ever championship to Alabama and heal some of the wounds of the football world, Alabama world. Now let's talk Super Bowl in this last minute. We got the SEC, the Philadelphia Eagles against the Big Ten, the Kansas City Chiefs. And I like these Eagles to win this thing. I'm picking the Eagles to finally beat that candy man down there, Patrick Mahomes. I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't like you. Tight end. Don't like his girlfriend. I don't like any of y'all.
Bama and Georgia have tons of players playing for the Philadelphia Eagles.
SEC,
They've got the SEC DNA, and these are the premier Georgia and Alabama players that we saw dominate college football for about a 5-year period. These are the guys that are wearing the green. They're fly, Eagle, fly. If you're an SEC fan, you're on board with the Eagles.
Hey, remember it's just a game. Don't be like the Keeper and the legend. Sports insane.
Feel the winning vibes at Victoryland Casino, where every step you take leads to excitement.
Bring on the good times. You don't want to miss this.
Top-notch games and a vibrant atmosphere. Victoryland Casino is the place to be. Another incredible win.
Where the winning never stops.
Victoryland Casino. You can be a winner too.
Talking to one of our great clients, Corey, with Spy for Rent. You know, January is officially Divorce January.
That's an
everyone,
ominous title.
Everyone gets through the month of December because the holidays, the kids get their gifts, and then we start filing paperwork come January.
Oh, boy.
And he said just this week, 6 different people called to get bugs and have bug sweeps at their homes. So a lot of people doing surveillance. Spy for Rent, they're the best when it comes to PIs, private investigators, and Spy, 790-3051, 790-3051, or Spy, the number 4, rent.com. They are the best. They're known around the country as best surveillance. Also want to thank our good friends at the Woodhouse Day Spa, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. They do wonderful work. And, of course, Stuart will join the show here in the next couple of weeks. And also, of course, Southern Precision Staffing, Kai Gregory, who we do a show with. We'll talk about that in a second. They're wonderful, too, 205-682-2828. They do staffing, whether it's anything surgical, they could do construction. You need something staffed, they could check it out. Southern Precision Staffing, where your word and your handshake still means something. They're right here in Hoover, Alabama. They serve the United States of America. Southern Precision Staffing. Kai also does a show along with your son called Little K4 Wins. Tell everybody about that bad boy, because we're on fire,
K4 Wins
man.
is rolling along. We've got about a 66% winning percentage going on right now against the spread. It's not just we like so-and-so to win. That's not the way this works. It's over-unders. It's all the different strategies that you can employ to take your man or your service down. And we are happy to provide that.
They have hockey plays on there.
Absolutely.
Women's basketball plays on there.
Yeah.
Super Bowl winners on there.
The Triple Crown coming up.
Triple
horse
Crown
racing,
coming up
there's a lot
there.
of big races going on right now. So you never know what's going to pop up there. Case is a golf expert. We're going to have a lot of golf there. So K4wins.com, something that you really need to keep in mind if you're into little sports action.
It's a free site, and of course, if you'd like to subscribe, feel free to go there. You got 4 guys that have been doing sports handicapping for well over 100 years, of course, including the jewel in our care hound, of course, that being your son, who is out there with the Las Vegas Sun. He's the one that carries the weight in that show because everyone listens to what. That's why we always take his thoughts last.
Yeah.
Because we want to find out who is wrong during the rest of the show, because
There you go.
and his features are just outrageously good. So check out all of our great sponsors here in the starting lineup.
Hey, it's Case Keefer back again here in Las Vegas for another edition of my Vegas Heaters segment. I am the assistant sports editor for Greenspun Media, which includes Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly, longtime sports bettor and sports betting writer. Went 1-1 in the segment here last week, but hopefully you were listening closely as I had a lot more conviction in that Philadelphia pick, or you read my stuff at LasVegasSun.com where that was my only play of the week on the NFL. Obviously, Philadelphia -6, -5.5, -6.5. I said play it all the way to 7. None of that was a sweat. They won that game easily. Still 1-1 officially. We don't have bigger unit sizes or anything in this segment. So on the year in the Vegas Heaters, 40-37 for me, but on the show as a whole, 70-59. So in the black and looking to finish strong with the Super Bowl, which I know we will talk a lot more about next week. It'll be a bigger focus of the show, Super Bowl 59 at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. But I was so badly wanting to feel good about myself or go in to how I approached this game that I dug all the way back to a starting lineup from a year ago, February 14th, 2024. I had remembered that I made a couple of NFL bets for this season immediately back then. And I was hoping I talked about them on the show. And sure enough, from 240 of that segment to 415, I detailed 2 bets I made on the NFL 2025 season. One of them, neither of them were settled actually. One of them I'm sure is going to be a loser on NFL Honors next week. One of them, still pending, has a chance to win. Those 2 bets, I'll kill the suspense now. Patrick Mahomes to win the MVP at 8-1, and obviously didn't go great. But the day after the Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs 9-1 to win the Super Bowl this year. I knew it was a bet I made. I didn't know if I shared it anywhere. I didn't share it on LasVegasSun.com, but you heard it here on this show. I shared it. I said at the time 9-1 was not widely available, but this is why there's no offseason if you want to do this seriously. If you want to try to make a profit, you need to be digging through as many sports books as you have availability to see if there are any opportunities like that. The Chiefs were widely, though, plus 750 after last year's Super Bowl, and I said go ahead and bet that. That is fine. They should be back in this situation next year. So we're riding that 9-1 ticket here on the show. Now, one downside is it was so early, conference odds weren't even up. I'm usually a guy that when I bet futures, I like to bet both the championship and the conference. So all year I had no exposure on the Chiefs winning the AFC. If you watch the show, you know I loved Baltimore, and I still will go to my grave thinking they've had the best team the last 2 years and just found ways to choke it away. I had some Buffalo exposure, so ended up losing on the AFC, but I have that big Chiefs position, and hopefully you were watching the show and do too. And now it lets me talk more freely about my process and how I am approaching these games. We'll get more into the props, kind of dig deeper next week. But I thought, why don't we just talk about the 2 big markets for the Super Bowl here and how I approach them. Kansas City now a 1.5 point favorite. And to be honest, my gut and my numbers tell me that is a little bit wrong. I actually kind of like the Eagles here. I think their ceiling is a little higher than the Chiefs. I still think the Chiefs have gotten away with a lot this year. I don't think that Buffalo team was necessarily great. I think they dodged another bullet not having to play Baltimore. I don't think they looked great against Houston. So when it opened 1.5, I was like, okay, how do I end up kind of buying out of a little bit of this position with Kansas City, get some exposure on Philadelphia? Well, again, I was looking at all the sports book. One major sports book all around the country, including here in Las Vegas, opened Kansas City's a 2.5 point favorite, which I thought was dead wrong. So it was like, okay, how can I get down on this? How can I give myself an opportunity to have a really big night on Super Bowl 59? And my answer, I ended up taking Philadelphia plus 3.5, minus 160 on the alt lines. I know math intimidates people, but it's really not that hard. There's so many resources online. You can just type in, look at a push chart, see how much half points are worth in the NFL. That was a really bad number, even if the number is 2.5, which I don't believe it should be. You can tell me the Chiefs have all this magic with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and I can't deny it now. Certainly that's true, but even then, I would adjust my number probably back to pick 'em. I think this is close to a coin flip game. So I fire huge on Philadelphia, plus 3.5, minus 160. I don't drink, but maybe somehow if there's a Kansas City 1, 2, or 3 point win, next week we might have to pop some fake bubbly on the show or something, because that would be huge for me. Really, in my gut, I kind of favor Philadelphia here, but the Chiefs always have the magic at the end of games, so maybe they eke out a tight one. But if you're sitting on a big Chiefs future like that, I would look for a way maybe to play off a little bit of it. Maybe you look live and hope they score first and bet Philadelphia at an even better price. At this point, I think the plus 3.5 alts are like minus 180 or higher. I wouldn't do that. I don't think mathematically it's as sound as a play. But my first reaction is that I do like the Eagles a little bit more than the market in this game. And another thing that'll be unpopular, I did bet under 50.5. Now that's gone now. It's mostly at 49.5. I would say don't do that. I know everyone's expecting points in this game, and I get it, but I don't don't know, there's still a little bit of an old school in me, but that's just a big number. I think both these teams will be content not to give up big plays. I think both these defenses are better than they showed last week and better in general. So my first reactions on Super Bowl 59, kind of like the Eagles, kind of like the under. Hopefully you followed me on that future on the Chiefs and can find a way to potentially cash 2 tickets with Philadelphia. It's going to be a terrific Super Bowl. I know there's like kind of it seems like there's not a lot of buzz going out a week ahead of time, just with this being the second matchup in 3 years between these two teams with some Chiefs fatigue, but I know the ratings are going to be out of control. I think Nevada will come close to setting another handle record. Last year we had, I think, 173 million when the game was here. That was largely because it was here, I know. So maybe we don't quite get there, but I think there's going to be a lot of betting interest, a lot of stuff to talk about. But for now, for me, it's Philadelphia. Hopefully you took that Kansas City future. Thanks for checking out another edition of Vegas Heaters.
Step back into the groove and then into the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Check this out. It's all happening here.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino is the local place to win.
Good times right here.
Let the Birmingham Racecourse Casino bring the good times to you. The Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where the good times roll.
Where you could be a winner too. Yeah, boy.
Show, and I'm gonna start digging around for that extra change to find out what kind of money Daddy has. You know, I got the cash hidden in the garage. I've got some in the back of the freezer. I've got some, that's when I was married. Now, of course, I can just have it laying out all over the place.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to make sure we have a nice little bet. We're looking forward to Super Bowl 59. Of course, we'll have some big plays for you. I know you got a best bet coming up here. I hope that the college football can be as big as, and it never will be because the NFL is so huge worldwide. But, I mean, I love the ramp up. I love the fact that 2 weeks is just enough for the National Football League to talk about it. And I know we got another week before the big game, but hopefully college football, maybe they won't have an inauguration next time college football has a championship.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Yeah, so, but great stuff.
Tony, Georgia's at Alabama today. Georgia has been very good at home. Georgia's terrible on the road. They even lost to John Calipari's dilapidated Arkansas program in Fayetteville last week. Alabama's a big favorite. Give the points. Don't sweat it. Georgia will be physical and they're athletic, but they're not very good.
Yep.
Take Alabama. And I think, even though people might lock me up in the asylum for this, Tennessee lost by 30 to Florida 2 weeks ago.
I like it.
Tennessee comes back and beats Florida today in Knoxville. Best bet of the week.
I like it. I love both those plays. Go after and get it. Go to K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com for all of our plays. It's a free site. You can subscribe there, and, of course, make sure you continue to watch us. Don't forget next Saturday now. It's the Saturday before Super Bowl
preview.
59. We may have to have our own little halftime show.
That's for sure.
How about that?
I'll sing.
Legend will be our halftime show. How's that?
I'm always looking for a chance to sing.
We'll put him in a G-string and have him traipse throughout the ABC 3340 studios.
That is a ratings winner if I ever heard one.
I'll be watching. This is the starting lineup.
All right?
Feel the winning vibes at Victoryland Casino, where every step you take leads to excitement.
Bring on the good times. You don't want to miss this.
Top-notch games and a vibrant atmosphere. Victoryland Casino is the place to be. Another incredible win.
Where the winning never stops.
Victoryland Casino. You can be a winner too.